Coming to the floor, come into your constructive rest positions, and we'll begin with a traditional Pilates mat for mindful Pilates today. If you need a pillow, bring it in. There's no embarrassment in using a pillow. I've had people in Pilates studios resist the pillow. Really, what we're doing is making sure that our head and neck alignment is healthy, that our spinal alignment is healthy. And so what we want to check that with is that our eyes are perpendicular to the floor. Now, nod tailbone towards earth and tailbone towards sky. And just let your pelvis rock slightly and feel into your low back, your connection, low back into your pelvis. Noticing any tightness, any fluid movement. And then as your pelvis rocks towards the tailbone, pause for a moment and feel how your front hip pointers have come up towards your thighs. And then rock back, lifting the pubic bone. Feel how your front hip pointers descend towards the floor, come more towards the belly. And then rock hip pointers towards femur bones and hip pointers towards navel, kind of. They roll that direction. And just feel into the movement of your pelvis now as the hip pointers rock up and rock back down. Now, if you have scoliosis and your lumbar is kind of flattened towards the floor, or you have a very flat lumbar spine, this movement may be softer and gentler. Now, come to your awareness of your pubic bone and how it moves down through your thighs towards the floor and then back up towards your navel. And just feel into these landmarks of the pelvis. Now put your middle and ring fingers on your hip pointers, the points that are closest up to the sky, and put your thumbs on your low ribs. And notice as you rock your tailbone towards earth and your hip pointers towards your femur bones, you lengthen the space between your low ribs and your pelvis in the front body. Now imagine if your hands were on the back of your pelvis and low ribs, and notice that when you rock your hip pointers towards your femurs, you're shortening that space in the low back body. Now come to neutral. You have your natural lumbar curve, but you're not over accentuating it. You're not flaring the ribs. Your pelvis is in neutral. And feel the distance between your thumbs and fingers. This is how you want to keep neutral when you create your Pilates square. So keep your fingers here and exhale, float one leg to tabletop. And then float it back down gently, landing light as a feather. And float the next leg up. Now notice your hip pointers may move a little bit, but really what we want is mostly the femur bone moving in the hip socket. The hip pointers may sway a little side to side, but we're keeping the pelvis pretty much in neutral and keeping the distance between the low ribs and the hip pointers even. Now float one leg to tabletop. If you need a little block or blanket under your sacrum, put it there. Float the other up. You should still have a neutral lumbar curve. If you don't, you may want your pelvis on a bit of a lift. Now toe dip slowly, one foot. Don't go all the way down, just 2/3 of the way and come back up. And then the other leg and come back up. Try to keep your square still as possible. Staying strong between your thumbs and fingers. Staying strong between your fingers, one side to the other, and your thumbs, one side to the other. getting to know your Pilates square. Now feel the difference just for a moment if you let your pelvis go with the dipping leg and come back up. Notice how your spine comes into more of a back bend and how that's going to compromise the integrity. So stay strong in that center channel, strong in your square. Now bring your heels together, knees wide, and toe dip again slowly. Remember, we inhale down and we exhale up. Remember, both the inhale and the exhale can help keep us still. Now bring your legs together and hug the midline. Point your toes and take the left leg out to the left and draw it back into center. And the right leg out to the right. You may notice that the right hip goes a little wider. That's okay. But can you keep the distance from rib to hip pointer pretty even? You're not flaring the ribs. You're not dropping the pubic bone towards the floor. Keep going with that while I let Izzy in. Come on in. And then draw both legs back together and lower one foot to the floor and then the other. Bring the ball between your knees. Still, your thumbs and fingers can settle back onto your square. And let's pulse into the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now hold the ball, hugging it, and slowly straighten your right leg. Stay aware of your square. Keep your neutral lumbar curve. This may take grounding your left shoulder. Bend your right leg and put the foot on the floor. And pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hug. Broad shoulders grounding. Strong square. Straighten the next leg. Keep hugging into the ball. Balance your body. Bend the knee. And again, straighten the right leg. And now pulse the knees towards each other onto the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. Feel into that midline, the inseam of your legs, all the way down the straight leg to your foot, all the way back up from the foot into the pelvis. Now hug the outer hips, the banks of your river towards each other too, so the glutes are gently turned on. But that doesn't mean we're flattening our lumbar curve. And bend your knee. Straighten the left leg. And pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. Can you balance your back, your upper back body to help balance the sacrum, the pelvis, the square? And bend the knee and land the foot on the floor. Now hold the ball in your hand and float one leg to tabletop and the other leg up to joint. Put the ball back between your knees and let your arms rest out, palms up, shoulders broad and grounding. And pulse the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now keep strong. You can bring your hands back, ribs to hip pointers, and toe dip both legs. Maybe you just go half an inch. Maybe you can go 2/3 of the way towards the floor and come back up. Keep hugging the center line and only go as far as doesn't compromise your square. You're hugging the ball and your low ribs are reaching for your hip pointers. Feel into that strong abdominal core, but don't hunch the shoulders towards it. Keep the shoulders opening back, grounding you, so you can use the myofascial slings in the back body as well. And then come back up. Take the ball into your left hand. Let the right arm rest on the ground, palm up, and take the left arm back and the right foot into a toe dip and come back up and switch with the ball and take the right hand back, left leg toe dips. And you're going to keep switching back and forth. And visualize keeping your square strong as you move the limbs. You can imagine you're a puppet being guided by the masterful marionette puppeteer. Fluid breath, don't get sloppy. Stay strong in your square. And come back up. You can stay with those, or you can straighten your legs and bring your right leg overhead and tap the right shin with the ball. And then switch left shin. So you're coming into your scissors. And we switch and switch and switch. You can do it with your knee like this if you have tight hamstrings. The front knee can come to the ball. If you want to be open, you can be open, or you can be open as you'd like. So the ball comes and touches the shin. So you bring the ball right to the shin or right to the knee. Touch, 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 or it can be here. Touch, 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 and touch, 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 touch. Now pulse the moving leg. Touch, 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 touch. Now bring the next leg forward. Take the ball in the opposite hand and take it around behind the leg, even if it's a bent knee. And then cross the other side. So you're creating a figure eight around your legs. Figure eight around your legs. Those of you who like to lift your head, you can nod nose towards mouth. Almost lift from the hairline and go ahead and lift up. And we roll the ball between the legs. Now, can you switch directions? Doing a little brain gym as well as Pilates. Floint your feet. Rub your head and pat your belly. And bring the legs together, bend the knees. Float one foot to the floor and then the other. If you have a pillow in, take it out. Lift your pelvis and place the ball beneath your sacrum. Pause with your breath. Broad shoulders. Find your three-dimensional breath into the whole ring of the lower ribs. Exhale. Feel for the gentle hug of your transverse abdominis, a lift of the diaphragm, a lift of the pelvic floor. Inhale, fill your circumference. Exhale, feel a lift of the breathing diaphragm, a lift of the pelvic floor. Exhale fully. Inhale and fill. Remember that Joseph Pilates thought of the breath as a cleanse. So you're exhaling any unneeded residue out of the body. You're inhaling fresh air, fresh energy. Feel the back body as well as the front body. Feel the side waists. Feel for your rib cage expanding all the way around. Now, on your next exhale, blow out through pursed lips. Feel for that hug without changing the shape of your spine. So we're not flattening our spine in effort. We're not overusing the glutes or the shoulders. We're coming into the abdominal core. We're finding that inner core as we exhale, lifting the pelvic floor, lifting the diaphragm, hugging in the transverse abdominis. And then we soften and we fill because we know being full of air also protects the spine. Blow out through pursed lips to really feel for that hug and let your consciousness feel all the way around the spine. Now bring your arms open into a T, fingers towards the sky, palms towards the foot of the mat, and press the head of your arm bones back. Press the whole length of your humerus bone back and feel into your upper back. Now don't bunch the shoulders up around the neck. Use the muscles beneath the shoulders and around the shoulder blades to press back. Now, when we do this, some people, if you have tightness in your shoulders, you may have the tendency to flare your ribs. If you do, bring your arms back into robot arms by your sides. Don't compromise the integrity of your spine. If you can stay in the T and keep your Pilates square, then do so. And exhale, one leg to tabletop. And inhale, float it back down, light as a feather. And exhale the next leg up and float it down. Can you stay conscious of your square and conscious of the strength across your back body? And you may be able to lighten the touch of the leg that's coming down. You may be able to just lift the legs up and do this movement as a toe dip, keeping strong, either down your robot arms beside your body or out into your T. Now bring one foot to the floor and then the other. Bring your arms back in alongside the body and press the whole length of your humerus bone down. And exhale, one leg to tabletop, the next leg to follow. Hug the legs into center. And take your right leg out to the right. Keep your Pilates square in your consciousness and come back into center. Take the left leg out to the left and come back into center. Now, as you take the right leg out, feel across the strength of your shoulders. As you take the left leg out, broaden the shoulders and connect the moving leg to the opposite shoulder. Connect the moving leg to the opposite hip. Feel into this triangle of strength you can create. Now, really feel as you take your one leg out, pause. Feel the same side shoulder. Feel the length from that same side shoulder to the opposite hip. There's the hypotenuse of your triangle. Can you keep long from the shoulder that's working to the leg that's out, to the buttock that's out, and come back in? Take that same leg out and in. Feel into the strength of this triangle as you take the leg out and in. And one more, out and in. Pause in the center, relax your shoulders. Take a three-dimensional breath. Broaden and ground your arms and take the left leg out. Feel from left shoulder to right buttock, from left shoulder to left buttock to right buttock. Feel the triangle and come back in and take the same side out and in. Stabilize with your back myofascial slings, but don't forget your front Pilates square. Keep that strong too. And one more. Coming back in, float one leg to the floor and then the other. Lengthen the right leg out on the floor and take your arms up overhead or out into a T. Take your right leg wide and your left leg wide. Let your left leg turn out a little and let your hips rock slightly over the ball, side to side. Invite the hip flexors now to lengthen. Cross the front of the pelvis, down the myofascial matrix, all the way to the foot. And coming back to center, draw the right leg back and lengthen the left leg out. Take the legs a little wide apart and rock the pelvis gently side to side. Feel into releasing tissue deep in the hip, down the myofascial matrix, and up into the spine, up the torso into the arms. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. And walk the knees back in. Lift the pelvis up. Bring the arms back down. And release. Pause with a fluid breath. Okay. Bring the ball into your hands one more time. Float one leg to tabletop and the other to join. Bring the right knee into the ball as you lengthen the left leg out. Press with the hands into the ball and then switch. Ball comes onto left knee strongly as you reach the right leg long and switch and switch. Nod nose towards mouth. Almost lift from your hairline. Can you stay conscious of the Pilates square? Some of you will lift the head, and we reach and reach and reach and reach and reach. Press the knee back into the ball. Reach and reach and reach and reach. Point the feet. Press and press and press and press. Try to lengthen the lengthening leg. Flex the feet. Press out through the heel and reach and reach and reach and reach and come in. Rest your head back and your shoulders broad. Fluid breath. Now, take your hands and legs, feet up towards the sky. Here's your double leg stretch. Take the ball away from your ankles, overhead. Take the ball in the left hand, circle it around as you hug your knees in. Reach the ball overhead. Take it in the right hand, circle it wide. Reach the ball overhead, feet long. Circle and reach, other side and reach. So we're adding a little brain gym today to movements that you do quite frequently. Let the ball switch from side to side. Fluid breath. Reaching the feet away from the hands. And reach out and come in. Now, again, bring the right leg forward, left leg long. Bring the ball behind the leg and switch behind the other leg and switch and switch and switch and switch. And maybe you lift your head, maybe not. Maybe you almost lift from the hairline. Can you stay conscious of your square? Fluid breath. Fluid breath in your scissors. And release. Bend your knees. Now, take your toe dips. You can do single legs again or double legs as the arms come overhead. We reach the arms, we toe dip, and we come up. Now, as we toe dip, we're going to stay very conscious of our front ribs not flaring away from our hip pointers because we worked on this earlier. We're going to reach and come back in. We're going to stay aware of the midline because we hugged the knees into the ball. We're not flaring the ribs and overarching the spine and then yanking the legs back up. We're not touching the floor because we want to move smoothly. We don't want to rebound. We inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. Keep the back of the neck long. And one more out and pause. Make sure you've come to your point of control, low ribs hugging towards hip pointers. And come back in. Fluid breath. Now bring the ball to the top of your head. Put your hands, interlace your hands over the top of the ball. And reaching the left leg out, lift the left elbow. Keep the ball pressing on the top of the head and press the head into the ball. And switch and switch. Reach the elbow skyward, but keep thinking of lengthening into the ball overhead. And reach and reach and reach and reach. Stay long. Your legs are reaching towards that button on the far wall to press it. Your elbows are reaching into the button up above head. And come back to center and release your head and release one foot and then the other. Let your arms rest wide and nod tailbone towards earth and tailbone towards sky. Come back into a fluid breath if it left you. And coming into your neutral curve, walk your feet as wide as the mat. Open your arms to a T or take them overhead and let your legs fall out to the left. If you're in a T, you can side bend your left ear towards your left shoulder and then turn your head to the right in a twist. If your arms are overhead, you can lengthen the right arm away from the right knee and then relax into this psoas stretch. Fluid breath. See if you can bring the breath into the center channel of your body to help you inhale length and exhale, relax. Remember, the relax is of equal importance to opening the tissue. And exhale back to center and take it to the other side. And lengthen the left arm away from the left knee. Or side bend your right ear toward your right shoulder and twist to look out over the left arm. Fluid breath. Reaching through the left knee wherever you are. Inviting the myofascial matrix to lengthen and open so your bones can have space around them. And then exhale back to center. Bring your arms back into the goalpost position, fingers towards the sky, palms towards the foot of the mat, and press the head of your arm bones and the length of your humerus bones back. Feel into that strength. From here, gently root your feet and lift your pelvis and stretch your pelvis away from the strong arms. So you're in a bit of a kind of a plank-like bridge. You're hugging your heels towards your buttocks to take your knees away from your shoulders. And your shoulders are strong. They're grounding you back. Don't pull too hard or you may cramp your hamstrings. And release the pelvis back down. Bring your arms into your sides and hug one knee towards the chest and then the other and circle them wide apart and back together again. Good morning, hips. Good morning, core. Take the circles the other way. Fluid breath. Okay, one more little fun thing with the ball today. Bring the ball into your right hand and reach it up towards the sky. Right foot on the floor, lift the left foot towards the sky or the left knee if it's hard to straighten the leg, and lengthen the right leg out on the mat if that's comfortable. Now take the right hand out to the right, the left foot out to the left, maybe just a little, and circle them up and down. So they're circling towards each other. Other way, Katie. Yeah, there you go. That's right. Sorry, I saw it wrong. Yeah, fluid breath. Circling the hand towards the foot at the top of the circle, down the midline and out. Circle and circle. Feel both the femur bone and the shoulder moving. And take your circles the other way. Circle and circle. Fluid breath, feeling the shoulder and the femur be creating mobility, a strong square. Strong myofascial slings connecting them. Now come to center and circle just the ankle and the wrist towards each other. So you're still in position, circling the ankle and the wrist. Now, not the shoulder and the femur. Circle just the wrist, just the ankle. And now circle out towards the pinky finger and pinky toe. Circle the opposite way, out away from each other and back around. Brain gym. And then bend the left knee, step it down. Take the ball in the left hand, step both feet into constructive rest and lift the right foot or the right knee pointing towards the sky and lengthen the left leg out on the mat. Now, take the ball out and the foot out to the sides, bring them up towards 12 o'clock and down towards 6, and out and up and down the center line. Takes a little while to get used to this new work. Stay strong across your back as you circle the foot and the ball away from each other up to 12 o'clock, down to 6. Fluid breath. Feel for the movement in shoulder and in hip. connected through your Pilates square and your myofascial slings. Now take the circles the other way, up and out, fluid breath, grounded in the arm and the leg that are on the floor, creating that support beneath you. And now pause up high and circle just the wrist and ankle towards each other. Circle them towards each other and then circle them away. Circling and circling. And then hug the right knee in, step it to the floor, and roll over onto hands and knees. Hands and knees. Let's try this hamstring strengthener again. Bringing the ball between your calf and your hamstrings. Lift the foot towards the sky. Either side you choose. If you can't do this on hands and knees, feel free to put your hands on a chair and do this from standing. Okay? So you've got the ball hugged between your calf and your hamstrings, and we're going to pulse it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. Now reach the foot towards the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. And then come down a little bit and pulse the heel towards the buttock again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. Now, try to take the knee out to the side like doggy at a fire hydrant. Bring the knee in towards the other knee. Lift the foot. Take the knee wide. Take the knee towards the knee and circle, holding on to your ball. That's right, Sherry. It's a funny movement. Yep. Try to draw a circle with your knee now, holding that ball and not losing it. Draw a circle with your knee. Now draw the circle the other way. All right, beautiful. You're going to be more aware of your calf and your hamstring now. Bring the ball to the other leg. It is kind of awkward to get it there. You get it right in the kind of crook of your knee. And then as you're ready, you lift your foot. You can flex your foot. And we'll pulse the heel towards the buttock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. If you get a cramp, then let yourself rest and reach the foot towards the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And bring the heel towards the buttock again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now bring the knee down towards the floor. Take the knee out to the side and back and draw a circle with your knee. Draw a circle with your knee. Moving. Now take the circles the other way. Fluid breath. So those of you who like side lying, you got a little of that hip work and the back of the leg work here. Now come back down and release the ball and take your knees wide, big toes together. Float back into your child's pose. If child's isn't accessible to you, do some cats and cows. Breathe into your hips. Your hamstrings might be longer for all the work they just did. Reaching your hands long, ground your fingers into the mat. If you're protecting wrists, you can come into low plank and float yourself up into a plank. Fluid breath. Now step your feet as wide as your mat. That's going to give you more stability if you need it. Step your feet back in towards center and touch them. And notice, is that harder work across your shoulder girdle? Keep lengthening your neck out of your shoulder girdle. Step your feet wide again. Step them back to center. Step them wide. If you need to stay wide when you step to center, don't step as close. You can step as wide as is comfortable for you. You can step as narrow as is comfortable to you. Stay broad. I'm going to try this in low plank. It's actually going to be a little harder in low plank for the core part of it. Yeah. I'm going to watch you for a minute as you do it. I lost my earpiece. Yeah, that looks good. I'm really happy that if you're going one direction, you're lifting your buttocks a little in a pike towards the sky rather than in a collapsed sway back horse. Okay, step your feet in, lower back to hands and knees. On hands and knees, let's take our long TheraBand underneath our hands. You can still do this standing if you need to be standing. Okay, you just put it across your bed rail, Mom. I guess the way you are. Okay, bring the right hand onto the TheraBand to hold it down, and the left hand will hold the TheraBand. Again, take your knees or your feet a little wider and see if that's going to help you create more stability. Broad across your shoulder girdle, lift the left hand out to the left and lower and lift. So you're lifting the TheraBand. Don't make it so tight that you're straining. You want to feel the lift. You want to feel the resistance. Now I'm going to ask you to come back to your awareness of the Pilates square and lift the arm and pause. Now feel into your myofascial slings across the back body. Fluid breath. How can they help you stabilize? And release the TheraBand. Hold it down with the left hand, lift it up with the right. Remember, you're concentrating on the shoulder blade coming on the back ribs as you lift, not flinging the wrist back in space. The shoulder will be higher on the rib cage than the wrist lifts. And we lift and lower and lift and lower. We keep the shoulders releasing away from the skull so we have a long neck in its neutral curve. And we float the arm up, shoulder blades strong on the ribs, and we pause. And we feel into the front square and the myofascial slings. Feel into the work that's happening inside the torso and out the limbs. And release. And inhale into a cow and pause. And really lengthen your crown away from your tailbone. And traction your hips away from your shoulders. So the hands and the knees kind of hug towards each other as the pelvis and the shoulders reach away. Take a few fluid breaths, inviting whatever needs a massage to get it internally. And then press your hands down, your knees down towards the floor, and come into your hissing cat. And lift your abdominal muscles up toward your spine. And lift the fascial tissue and skin of your back body up towards the sky. And take your sit bones towards your heels. Stretching into the low back. Deep breaths into the low back body. Come up onto your fingertips. Reach, walk your fingertips as far away from your rooting pelvis as they can go. And then sway your shoulders, one towards the sky, one towards the earth, and the opposite. And breathe into this swaying stretch. Fluid breath helps us to massage the myofascial network open. Come back onto hands and knees. Lower down to your forearms, palms together, and step your feet back, low plank. Remember, you could do this on the top of a bed and step back. You could do a different version of this on the wall. You don't have to do a low plank on the floor. You could also bring your knees to the floor and your feet up for low plank with a little less effort. Now walk your feet a little towards center, where you feel like you could lift one foot off the floor. And then lower that side and lift the other foot off the floor. And lower that side. Fluid breath. Shoulders released away from skull. And step your knees back in. Stretch back, child's pose. And roll up to downward dog. Bend one knee and then the other, walking your dog. Pressing back from your hands, keeping a long spine. Keep your head and neck a little above your upper arm bones so that you have a neutral cervical curve. We don't drop the head like a heavy fruit towards the floor. You can roll over your toe hinges here to open the feet, stretch the fascia of the feet. Now, those of you who want to build upper bone density and can stay on your hands, you can bring the legs still and float one leg up. Those of you who've had enough of this can walk forward into your standing child's pose. Or let the other foot lift up as the first foot comes down. Stretch from hands to foot. And then step your feet forward. Everyone come into your standing child's pose. Knees bent, belly resting on your femur bones. Fluid breath. Reach for your long TheraBand and bring it behind your legs, palms towards the sky. And lift the TheraBand wide around your hips and up towards the sky. Yep, just go as far as is comfortable in your shoulders. Broaden your shoulders, lengthen through the head. And rooting into the four corners of your feet now. Bring the hands back towards the tailbone and unhinge. Lift the heart skyward. Take the hands a little bit behind you. Now, even right here, as you root your tailbone, think of maintaining a strong Pilates square from your front ribs to your hip pointers, back of the collar releasing down, heart stretching open. And exhale the TheraBand in towards your buttocks and roll your shoulders. Bring the TheraBand into the front body and press it against the femurs, palms back. Hands wide, broaden your collarbones. Now, a lot of times what we'll see is people do this. They'll pop their chest forward. I want you to root the tail and keep your low back rib ring back over the tail. So it's not way out in front of you. Feel into where your hip pointers are in space and keep them in good connection with your low ribs. Broad across your collar. Feel the strength of your shoulder blades on your back body. And inhale, look out over your left shoulder. And exhale to center. Keep strong with the palms back. Inhale, look out over right. And exhale back. Follow your own breath side to side. Feel the stretch of front body and the strength of back body. And come back to center and lift your TheraBand overhead and open it wide. And lift it overhead and open it wide. So it comes up and it opens, and you're strengthening the muscles of the outer shoulder blade instead of the upper trap, which gets overused. Now open wide. Make sure your wrists aren't collapsing. And step to one toe. Now again, think of your Pilates square. We don't want it to go all wonky. We're going to keep it a square and lift a knee and tap. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And step down. Stand strong on the next leg and lift to your toe. Find your square. We're not hitching the hip. That would ruin the square. And lift and tap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't know how many did. And 8. Step down. Lift to the first toe. Hug in the banks of your river so you're not kind of moving your hips around. Lengthen through the center channel and lift the knee and circle it out. 2 and 3 and step down. Lift to the next toe. Find the banks of your river, the center channel. Release the collar and circle. 2, 3 and step down. Lift the first knee. Take the knee out. Stretch your TheraBand wide. Feel where you are in space. Lift the knee and draw very slow circles. As slow as you can go with balance. Let's try for 5. And step down. Lift to the other toe. Find the banks of your river. Stretch that TheraBand wide. Turn the knee out. and lift and circle. 2, beautiful everyone. 3, slow as you can. 4, 5, and release the TheraBand and roll your shoulders. Bring the TheraBand behind your low back ribs. Let's try this again. Let's cross the TheraBand over. Take it in our hands wide. And inhale, stretch your arms wide. Feel it tighten around your low ribs a little. Breathe into it and exhale, elbows in. And inhale, breathe into your TheraBand. And exhale in. Now really root the tailbone, lift the base of the skull. Let yourself rest into the back body. Knees aren't hyperextending. Fluid breath. 4 corners of the feet grounding. Even that outer heel. Inhale and exhale. Now take 1 foot behind you. Inhale into the TheraBand, stretching it a little bit tight around the ribs. And exhale, hinge forward. Maintain your Pilates square. Hinge forward. Breathing 3-dimensionally. Feeling into your center. And exhale back up. Take the next foot back. We're not coming into a back bend and flaring the ribs forward. We're hinging the upper body forward, keeping our square and floating into our Virabhadrasana 3. Stay long from crown to heel. And come back up and release the TheraBand and take it up over the top of your head. So we built strength and awareness today at the center, and now we're coming out to the periphery. A lot of times we start the opposite. So feel into rooting your feet and lengthening towards the sky. Now lift the navel ring, the low rib ring, the center chest ring, the collar, the skull, and your superhero eye mask. Close the eyes on the front of your head and look out the eyes on the back of your head. Fluid breath. Take your left foot out to the left at a diagonal. Stay strong in the center line, strong in your square, and lift the knee and tap the foot, and lift and tap, and lift and tap, lift, tap, and lift and tap. Now flex the foot, touch the heel. Touch the heel. It's going to come down. It's going to throw your balance off a little. Try to stay aware of your square, of your length into the TheraBand. And 1 more. And step in. Take the right leg out. Find the banks of your river. Take an inhale. Exhale through pursed lips. Lift your pelvic floor. Feel your breathing diaphragm. Lift your TA. Hug in. And lift the knee. And tap the toe. And lift. And tap. Stay long. Find those anti-gravitational rings lifting you. Now flex the foot and touch the heel. It's going to be a little less support as it comes down. Keep the eyes on the back of your head open. Keep long into the TheraBands. And step down. And release the TheraBands. And pick up your hand weights. Okay, so we've really strengthened the core. We've lengthened ourselves out. We're proprioceptively aware. Let's take the left toes out. And let's inhale, snow angel the arms up with the foot and release. You don't have to use the hand weights if they don't feel good. And you could lift part way or all the way. Remember, if you're lifting all the way, to follow the scapular plane of your own rib cage. Some people's rib cages are more rounded, some are flatter. So some of your arms with the more rounded rib cages will come more forward. Honor your body. Inhale and exhale. Now see if you can inhale and hold. Really lengthen, lift those rings. And release. Take it to the other side. Really ground into your standing foot. Make sure it's wide open for you. And inhale and exhale. And lift and lower. Remember to ground the corners of your feet that often float off. We really want their support here. And then use the tenacity are the tensegrity and tenacity inside your fascial system to spread your bones into to help you create that kind of elastic pull back towards center. Stretch out, space your bones out, and then lift and pause. And release and roll your shoulders and bicep curl your arms and release. Close the eyes on the front of your head and open the eyes on the back of your head. Lengthen the back of your neck. Root your tail. Feel into the banks of your river. Your eyes on the front of your head are still closed. Now see, can you do that and lift to one toe and lower? Lift to the other toe and lower. Now you're not using your eyes. If you need to, open them just slightly so it's a little dark. Some of you may be able to lift a foot and step down. Lift and step. Inhale and exhale, or exhale and inhale. Woo. And step back down. Open your arms into a T and draw circles. Stand strong on one foot, lift to the other toe. Continue to draw circles and see, can you lift the knee? Continue to draw circles and see, can you lengthen the leg? And then bend the knee and step back down. Release the arms, roll the shoulders, open into your T. Draw your circles the other way. Root your tail and lift the base of your skull. Feel into a strong but not compressed Pilates square. Feel into the back body square and lift to a toe. And if you'd like, lift the knee. Fluid breath. If you'd like, straighten the leg. And bend the knee. And step back down. And roll the shoulders. And bending the knees, hinge the torso forward. Still, we're aware of the Pilates square. We're not going to drop our ribs and flare our tail. We're going to stay strong in the square. And lower the arms. And lift along the inseam of the shirt and stretch back. Remember, the head of the arm bone does not come forward as we fling the elbow back as far and hard as we can. That'll hurt our rotator cuff. So we draw the head of the humerus bone back and wide, and then we open and bend and lower. Broaden the collarbones, head of the arm bone back. And we lift, and this time straighten and pause. Broad across the strong back. Reach your tail away from the base of your skull. Feel into the long channel of your center spine. The strength of your shoulder blades on the back body. And see, can you lift to one toe? Perhaps lift the foot off the ground. And lower, lift to the other toe. Strong across your back, long from tail to base of skull. And lift. And lower. And release your arms and come to standing and roll. And float your arms out to the side and palms towards each other and down. And float out, in with the lift of the knee and down. Out to a toe, in lifted knee and down. Out to a toe, in lifted knee and down. Out, in and down. Out, in and down. Out, in and down. Lift your arms. Turn the palms skyward and lift the heart. See if you can release the collarbone and the head of the arm bone down and lengthen the neck out of the collar and just rest it back a little. Stay strong in your front Pilates square. Root your tailbone. Lift the base of your skull. Fluid breath. Let the front chest open. And exhale. Release the arms. Release the hand weights. And come to standing if it's comfortable with your feet in their Pilates V. And pause with your three-dimensional breath. And imagine that your legs are one tail and they're rooting down into the ground. Now lengthen and lift your navel ring, your low rib ring, your chest ring, your collar, your skull, and your eye band. Find that length and space between the vertebrae, gently hugging in the rings of the tree towards center. And bend your knees and lift to the balls of your feet and straighten and lower. Can the torso stay long even as the legs change position? Can you keep the spine long and the square awake even as the legs move? Now lift and hold. Lift the navel, the low rib, the chest, the collar, the eye band. Keep it lifted as you bend the knees, lower the heels, and straighten. Lift, bend, lower and straighten. Lift, bend, lower and straighten. Long spine. And we inhale and draw in our growing awareness, strength, stability. We inhale, draw in our fluid grace and ease of movement as we know where we are in space. And we inhale in. A wonderful Wednesday for all of you. Thank you.